in an honest, realistic way that then will resonate, because we're telling human stories.
And it's good for business too, right?
I couldn't agree with that more. In fact, we just launched Pop Sugar Latina, and I think we were having an earlier conversation about that. And our whole positioning with Pop Sugar Latina is that it's 100% American, 100% Latina, because this generation of millennials, they can't be labeled. You know, it's just about creating that relevant content with that point of view. I think once upon a time we thought about targeting as like some media planner in some office figuring out like, I want to target so-and-so, right? And if we kind of tie back to what we've been just saying about social and about virality, targeting is no longer about some media planner, you know, working their pencils and calculators and deciding who they want to reach. It's about creating that relevant point of view, and then the distribution, the social sharing will do the actual real super on target targeting for you.
Right, that's absolutely right.
I mean, we are inching toward, actually not inching, we're speeding toward a majority-minority America, right? So by 2050, or now people are projecting earlier, maybe by as much as a decade, this country will be majority-minority. And so the way that affects the millennial population is that they are much more multicultural. That's a much more multicultural demographic than my generation. And
I know.
and other older generations. But it's just very interesting. So it's, you know, as you think about, you know, targeting millennials and also just being more forward-thinking in general, you have to overlay a multicultural perspective into it, but it can't be so anachronistic as to be like, you know, okay, I want to target, you know, African Americans. It can sometimes for some brands, obviously, but overarchingly, it's a much more inclusive and organic thought process than it was 10 years ago.
At the same time, when you look at the top trending hashtag right now this week, it's growing up black.
Yes.
And straight down the line, it's just everyone's experiences of growing up black. But when you start to, if you've looked at that hashtag, you see now like Hispanics, Latinos weighing in on like, that's what it's like growing up Hispanic too. You know, my mama used to do that as well.
Commonality, yeah.
So it's like, I think there is kind of a bifurcation between the mainstream and minorities that the mainstream can still identify with, but there is a real value in being able to target the minority conversation. 2 weeks ago, it was hashtag love wins, and all of us are changing our profile pictures to rainbows. Whether or not we were homosexual or gay, transgender, it didn't matter. We were still all participating in a minority conversation. So I do think that there is a real value to being able to leverage the conversation of few in order to engage many.
Absolutely, and as content creators too.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that, and that speaks to the point that if you are telling the organic story of a particular group from their POV, but yet it's an inclusive story that it basically touches people on a human level. So just to speak to your example, it's like, yes, you know, I changed my profile to a rainbow, and you know, I'm you know, definitely not gay, but I know that story. I can feel that story as a human being. I know that journey, and if you're telling the true organic story from the POV of the characters in that story, then you know we can all have those touch points. We can all make those connections.
Absolutely. Well, I know we want to open up for a couple of questions before we wrap. So is it on? Yes, over there.